Hi, thank you for joining us. With us is Stacy Sherman, the founder and CEO of Doing CX Right. She is an author and award-winning international customer experience speaker and advisor. She is known for her heart and science framework. Welcome, Stacy. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. Somebody with all these accolades and knowledge. It's a pleasure to chat with you. Why don't we dive right into it? Why don't you tell us about who you are, where you're from, and how you got to where you are?
Yes, it's been a very fun journey. I have been in corporate for 25 years, and this year is the first time that I'm not in a corporate box. Been taking all that I learned being in the trenches as in marketing, sales, and customer experience roles throughout my career in different B2B and B2C companies. And now out on the road, keynote speaking and podcasting, which just won an award, doing CX right, and helping people and really doing it right through my approach that's based on my experiences and research. So I'm also a mom, a daughter, a wife, and life is not dull.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're super busy, so I really appreciate you taking time to spend it with us today. Um, we'll dive right into our questions here. What advice would you have for somebody on the first 100 days starting a customer experience role?
I would say the first 100 days in a company is to really spend time with different departments to understand what do they do and really follow the path along the customer journey. So awareness, interest, typically your marketing team. Spend time with them, understand how they're speaking to the customer, what's working, where are they showing up. Really dig deep into the awareness stage, the early on in the customer journey. And then go talk to the next team, which is how customers would, once they made their decision to buy. Is it e-commerce? Is there an e-commerce team, a web team, a sales team? All these different areas of where people can buy, go dig into and actually go through the process, walk in the shoes of the customer, and then so on. Learn, buy, get, use, pay. Oh boy, pay is a huge part of the customer journey. And get help, obviously, customer service. Can't skip that part. So that's my advice is really walk in the customer's shoes from the inside and then spend time with customers too.
You got to learn straight from the horse's mouth, right? It makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
You're known for this heart and science framework, and I'm sure you're applying that to your current, customer experience strategy. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so from all the research out there and from the different jobs that I've had leading teams, I've come up with a model that I call heart and science. So the heart part is really the feelings part of the experiences and how you really bring the heart to the business. And then the science part is where you can think of all the data components to actually not guess, but really get into the data and the metrics and then blend them both to actually design a customer experience, validate that you're meeting customer needs, and it's an iterative process.
hmm Tell me more about this iterative process. Right now, what are you focusing on? What's your strategy now, and how does it apply this framework?
Well, in my speaking and when I'm workshopping and doing work with brands, we're really getting into looking at where the gaps, what have they designed versus what the customer actually wants? What are the gaps? And then going to fix them. And through, again, certain parts of the heart and science framework, it's not every single piece of it that needs to be cared for. It's diving in to those components. If the gap is customer service, long wait times, agent attrition problems, we'll dive into that segment. If the issue is e-commerce, people are adding to cart, but they're not checking out and it's the sale abandons, we'll dig into that part. So it depends where in the journey that I come in with my toolbox.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And how do you measure the success of this framework? Is it just dollars and cents, or is there more to it than that?
Well, the heart and the science, the heart is harder to measure. However, you know that people stay. You can really see and measure the relationship if a customer renews that contract,
Hmm.
right? Especially if it's a renewal basis, or if they come and they buy again, or if you have a referral program and it's working, you could see the referrals. And a lot of it is really the soft skills and the training of people and the empathy part of the business, and it's the culture. So I'm mentioning a lot of broad things, but going deep, whereas the metrics and the science of it is measurements, closing the loop so that the information you get gets to the right department. It's breaking the silos, those data silos that people, many companies have that information all over the place and nobody's looking at it holistically.
Hmm.
The voice of the customer, you've got it in social media, you've got chat logs, you've got so much data, but is somebody actually looking at it and aggregating it and prioritizing the decisions from it? So again, we dig in where it's working and not working. And it's iterative because there's so much new technology. Customer needs are changing. So you're never done. You got to start and keep
Hmm.
optimizing.
That makes a lot of sense. And while you're doing this whole process, it sounds great. It makes total sense to you and I, but how do you get buy-in from the C-suite?
Mm, yes, been there, done that.
Yeah.
My answer is pilot programs because you really have to prove the value of what you're speaking about. Now, if you've never done it before, it's a chicken and an egg. So you start small and then you scale. But you've got to show versus just saying, this is Stacy's opinion of doing
Hmm.
something. No, set up a small pilot test. I call it TAR, test, analyze, adjust, repeat.
Hmm.
And so through that, that's where the C suite will then say, okay, I see the value. It's not just you talking, but by doing it on a small scale, then they can understand and see the value.
That makes sense. I like the test pilot idea. That way, the proof's in the pudding, right? You're not throwing them an idea. You have something tangible you can give them. In doing all this, what kind of pain points do you run into
With the C suite or with the
in
tests?
general? I'm sure you have a whole list of things for the C-suite, but let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit more, globally about this whole process.
It's typically internal silos that slow it down.
Hmm.
And getting everybody from the different departments to understand they have a customer experience job, getting people to understand that there's different goals, but in the end, it's a cohesive benefit to the customer who thinks as one company, but inside it feels like different companies.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the biggest roadblock.
I'm sure even within these companies in these silos, they're using different like CRM systems, right? So like they're even like measuring clients on different platforms, which can be really difficult to blend that sort of data. Do you have a specific example of where you've used customer feedback to improve a company?
Yeah, absolutely. So many examples, but one that will resonate, especially for the retailers listening. Um, so when I was at Verizon, we had instituted with the team buy online, pick up at store.
Hmm.
And it all worked great. You buy it online, and you had the option you ship or you buy at the local store and you pick your location on the web and you paid online and you go. Well, what happened was, and we only knew through the voice of feedback of the customer, was that when they got to the store, they were waiting online in the same line to get into the store. Sometimes it'd be really crowded, especially
Yeah.
holidays. Well, that should be a different queue. That should be a different line. So through the feedback, we were able to take something so simple and so easy, required no money,
Yeah.
required no technology, just make a separate line so they can
Yeah.
come in, pick up, and leave.
It's like one sign.
At the same time, we also got sophisticated to say, okay, they bought this online, let's say an iPhone, Apple product. Well, when they come to the store, what a perfect time for the retail personnel to say, "Oh, I know what you just bought. Let me show you some accessories,"
Like a
and
case.
personalize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not Droid, but Apple, because I just bought it online and I'm picking it up on store. So voice of customer is so powerful. You can't ignore it. And in fact, you can leverage it to increase sales and retention.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. Thank you so much. Yeah. What do you think is the future of CX?
Mm. I believe that companies that are focusing intentionally, investing in CX, who I think CX teams are the glue to the organization. So the companies that continue to invest in the CX practice while using technology to enhance experiences, not replace, the merge is where we're going.
hmm
And the companies that really understand that well will continue to thrive.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. What else should we know about you?
About me, well, this is a labor of love. I would say to people that figure out your passion and do it. Don't wait. For me, again was leading different teams in corporate, and I started a little baby blog many, many years ago doing cxright.com. It was just a blog. I had no idea if anyone would ever even read it.
hmm
They did, and the platform grew, and then it turned into the podcast and Forbes articles and et cetera, et cetera. And so my point to you is, and now I'm really growing it, but the point is figure out your passion. For me, it was customer experience and educating the world and just loving it because it didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Figure out that what that is for you and just start.
Well, that's awesome. How can we get in contact with you? I'm sure our listeners are going to want to touch base and learn as much as they can from you.
Yes, so doing cxright.com has a lot of free resources. My newsletter is full of gold, so subscribe. And my podcast, which you'll see on my website. And then I'm on all social media channels. However, LinkedIn is where I spend most of my time. So
Perfect. Well,
it's
that's how I
Stacy
reached out to you.
Sherman.
So that works. I can be honest about that one. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And you have a great afternoon.
Thank you.